Okay. Okay, let's go this way. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this is just going through a bunch of stuff. Okay, so this is link yourself to the universe. And, that's kind of a tricky thing, is if you kind of read sensei stuff, or the basic thesis is that, we're one with the universe, and in that state of unity, there's things like enlightenment and spiritual discernment, and you start to tap into the power, not of the universe, but the power of the harmony of the universe. Okay, so one kind of wonders sometimes, what is the key ingredient? Okay, and he was a great model for certain things, and maybe if we get too caught up in trying to duplicate his model, maybe we don't get our own model. So it's a kind of a balancing act there. But there's a chapter, Link Yourself to the Universe. And a key thing that seems to appear a lot is the universe. It's like a vibration. In fact, Deepak Chopra, in an old audio cassette I had, said the term universe means the one song. And so, in some sense, you can look at the universe as a physical entity, but also it exists on other levels, maybe as a vibration. And sounds are sounds, but a song is an organized series of sounds and tied to intelligence and creativity and whatever. So when Deepak Chopra said the universe means or comes from the term one song, universe, or one poem. So the universe is a creation. And since we come out of the universe, we are also mini creations. And possibly there's a sense where as a creation, or as a song, or as a vibration, or a series of vibrations, we have the potential to align ourselves on that level to the universe. And Sensei is big on training the body. Okay, and so obviously that has its limits. We can all sign up and go to the gym, and although these days that is trickier, with the coronavirus. But you can just train the body. But the other side of that is to train the body to get something called spirit, or to also train the spirit or soul. Okay, so one of the basic theses is Misogi. So what is Misogi? Misogi is the fact that we are I in creation, something called spirit or true self or soul in our level of the universe is an I. And a common thing we read from them is we must purify the senses, all right, and eliminate selfish thoughts. Why? Because the I, whether we like it or not, is selfish. Self, I, selfish. So even if we do the right thing, we're doing it at the I level for selfish reasons. And as we go through the Misogi route, we go from I, selfish, more towards I to self. And that's probably a deepening journey or a more of an unwrapping, finer journey. I think there's two directions that way, both of which sort of have to meet up at a certain point. Okay, so that, I don't know if that helps anybody, but there's a couple of things I do want to read. One's body is a vessel, so you must use spirit in your physical form to manifest the infinitely subtle and marvelous movements of Bu by continually purifying your six senses. So my sense a little bit, six senses, the usual five. And the sixth sense can be, oftentimes it's translated as mind, but it's consciousness. I mean, we can be at the level of I, locked into the realm of I. And all this input, what happens is the sixth sense probably confuses everything. So things like meditation start to give us a sense where we're more present, even here. Okay? But I think the other thing is those senses seem to indicate that there are dimensions of that journey, I to self, and as we kind of go deeper or finer, that what happens is that the actual layout of the universe or creation also becomes finer or more original or deeper. Okay, so he liked training the body, because I think the body was just a very direct thing. We all have one. And the level of I don't think he kind of meant that you get in this world of the I, this room, this station of I, and you make the I better. But that the I goes to a deeper level of itself. Therefore, the actual layout of the world in yourself. And the body is a little bit of a good tool. The body also exists on a variety of different levels. So as we go from this level to a deeper, finer level, the body also is affected by that. And so a lot of ways what we can do is track the changes through the body. And the body, with those changes, we're also deepening the experience of I to self. So the training physically, techniques, right now we're kind of forced more into an individual practice. But that is probably very, very important. That the body is was kind of Sensei's thing. Now at some point, you may go from body to a more integrated body, right? And then you start to possibly hit other levels of body, which are more energy. And you'll probably finer levels of that. It's still a body. And as the body goes back to itself more originally, it touches itself at more of a root level. And then the I and different levels of self also touches itself much more on an original level as self. So that's my basic thing. So if we go through this, going on, spiritual discernment allows you to manifest well-centered techniques that are unimpeded and flexible. Aikido techniques are never rigid or stiff. Aikido techniques are adaptable and free-flowing. So you can also track this journey, just through the training of the Aikido movements, because as the body and the corresponding level of us improves, the performance of the techniques shifts dimensions. free flowing, flexible. See, there's a tendency for the eye to glom on, or the other thing is the eye to possibly get so fine that it loses ground. That's why I think Osenso was body. And, he wasn't just purely body, but the body was a real important tool for you. Aikido was based on spiritual discernment, continual growth, and a keen focus on the roots and true forms of the cosmos. So in some way, and I've always kind of felt this way, is that really, as you are training in the techniques are vessels, as we are also a vessel, to track and to learn about the universe and its movement. And he's indicating that the universe itself is in continual growth and transformation. And in the world of I, we have this very solid thing, and we're in seemingly concrete situations, some of which are very, very unpleasant or confining or create great anger or whatever it is. But there are finer, deeper levels. And as we kind of track that, so we start to be able to operate even here from finer or deeper levels. Of course, that's Misogi. And one of the terms that he used was spiritual discernment. And discernment is a very important word. There's judgment, and there's discernment. And they're outwardly similar, but discernment is something that a judgment is made by an eye about something out there. And a discernment is something that is feel, experience. It can be translated into action or non-action. And it's right at a deeper level. So I may make a judgment, but a discernment. So he said spiritual discernment. So not necessarily eyes level of judgment about what's going on. And so, that's crucial according to what he's saying here. Do not forget the universal resonance. See things the way they really are. And if the universe is kind of a vibration song, we are part of that song. Or conversely, that song, since we came out of that song is in each of us. Okay? And as we begin to see things that way, we begin to have discernment, which is a part of growth. And I do this, I judge things. All right, but ideally, as I progress, go deeper into self as opposed to I, because I'm judging something. I'm judging something out there. And when there's a discernment, it's something coming from inside you that perceives the situation there from a balanced, deeper, more original level. So that is something, the spiritual discernment that we're supposed to develop, or conversely, as I goes deeper or finer into self, there becomes an increasing discernment that is connected to the I at a more original level, a spirit, a soul, a true self. So that's something that is important, because in some sense, the actual movement of Aikido is about blending. You enter, you turn. You center, you move. So there are a lot of discernments that are necessary to really do what I would call a deeper level of technique. So, just maybe a little bit more. In Aikido, it is essential to be enlightened with the principles of heaven, earth, and human beings. So he taught Ken, heaven, Chi, earth, Jin, humanity. So he spoke about that quite a bit, that really. Okay. And to develop a profound understanding of the great way of the universe and the magnificent, marvelous functioning of Kototam. There's that word we bump into quite a bit with them. Well, the universe is a vibration or a song or an organized, creative coupling, coming together of vibrations or sounds. And we come out of that, we're also Kototama. And our way of talking to the universe so the universe can talk back in a type of tuning forward to tuning forward. So establishing maybe that rapport, that conversation with the universe might be one of those sensei's terms, that we bump into called the floating bridge of heaven. And so the actual sense is that it's very difficult to discern when we're in the world of I. So in developing spiritual discernment, we're going back to a more original. And at some point in that more original, we may start to touch ourselves as is sound a vibration. And then the universe itself is sound and vibration. And it's possible at some point to link them up. As we put something out, something comes back. Or conversely, here, something gets my attention. I go out, establish a better connection, better communication. So there starts to be a conversation, a resonance connection. Conversely, I be in and out of this like a breath. And, those are things that can get lost. The eye can have a lot of training and development just on the level of itself, learning the movements. Right. But Sensei seems to indicate that what is vision for Aikido, therefore his vision for us, is actually a much grander one. So maybe with this, we're well along. We're going to get back, by the way, to the Tai Chi today. But let's shift location. Let me check and see. Okay. All right. So we're going to shift our location. Let's see. I'll bring the clock and we will relocate and try to get more of a bigger screen. Okay. I'm kind of wearing my Albert Einstein t-shirt here. And it was actually a gift. I actually got one of these when I was in Hawaii a couple of years ago. And I brought it back as a present for Frank Stovey. And then the last trip that we made, which was 2018, I went with a group, and the Birmingham's, and said, he actually bought this for me because he saw it in a store, just outside of Honolulu. And on the back is one of my favorite expressions. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Okay? And we have been focusing on the actual sword movements. But what I thought we'd do is just maybe begin to kind of move just freer of what we're doing. Thumb down, thumb up, thumb down, thumb up, figure eight. Thumb down, thumb up, thumb down, thumb up, figure eight. And here, this is one of my favorite sticks. I got it at the Great Nachi Waterfall. And it's really made for hiking. And so, on the other hand, it comes together at a point. So there's a sense where it's like a spirit. Oops. Gotta watch out for that. Now, what I like to do is I like to hold with the long end and the short end, for example. If I'm in the middle, it's hard for me to keep track of what's the sharp end. So, if I'm holding more towards one end, the long end is where the spear tip. Again, both pierce and cut. It was not a sword, but so those of you that have one, and making sure that you're not going to break something from right? This is the EQ change. Thumbs face away. The grip is like the sword, but mainly the staff, that we do right side motion. The basic thrust position. Is left side. And off of that, you can change the grip. Right, left hand, left foot, right hand, right foot. This is a striking or cutting motion. With a chow or a bow, it's a striking motion. With a spear, it's a cutting motion. With a chow or a bow, this is a hitting motion. With a spear, it's a piercing motion. And so what I'm doing right there, we take a, let's say, a cutting motion. Thrusting motion. Now we can add some changes. Okay. This is still technical right here. This is a third change. First change. Second change, thumbs face each other. Third change, thumbs face you. Fourth change, more of a pinning feeling, not weight downward. Fifth change, go kill. Second, you grab it as EQ, but it's a good one for figure eight. And so what you have here, change number 1, change number 2 can also cut. Okay. Here, for example, I could strike with the other end, but I have to be careful with the sharp end. That's 2. 3 is a thrust, front or back. Thumbs face 4. And you can do 4 on either side. It's a feeling of the real pinning motion of a yonkyo is not full body. Okay, and 5. In the 30 movement Misogi, 22, 23 is the 5th change. 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Okay, so the last third to half the third of it is to kind of give you more of a feeling of a maybe more sensei way of doing it. Okay, so if we go through that, this would be the tip, the cutting part. Okay. 22 is the 5th chain. 23, figure 8. Now we're going to switch hands, set back 24. 25, thumb down from the top, plus the step back. 26, cover the head, no step. 27, over the head, thumbs away. And when you catch, step, turn, sweep, cut. 28, 29, thumbs face each other, thumbs face away. Make sure the tip doesn't come into you. Thumbs face each other, step back. That's 30. Okay? So the last half of the motion, last third to half, okay? All right. Yeah. It's designed to give you the tools to sort of improvise. Boom, 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 boom. So if we were just to go through that again. 22, 23, feet stay sort of in place. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 is step, turn, cut. 29, make sure it's not, it's over here, and 30. Okay? So that's the, what I call more the beginnings of the takemusu, the improvisation. The first half, we have the, I don't know, with the sensei Misogi sense of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is both up and down. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, now 22. Like it's your, your basic thrusts, your basic cutting movements, Again, for me, it changes. For example, if you view this as just a stick, it's a hitting motion, striking motion, hitting motion. If it's a sphere, boom, that's a penetrating motion. Boom, 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 boom. And that's not just a striking motion, it can be a cutting motion because the tip on the spear has two cutting edges. So since they like the spear with three cutting edges. Boom, 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 So as we kind of go from the set of it, the form of it, it starts to open up. It starts to open up. You can, just movements like this, as they start to open up. Boom, 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 boom. And going into what we call the fire water changes, the thumb down, thumb up, figure 8, thumb down, thumb up, figure 8, boom, boom, back into strike or cut, boom, 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 and it turns. Okay. And as you start to do that, you're and in terms of self-defense, you have an umbrella, boom, somebody attacks you, that's going. He doubles over, he shoots, bomb, right? Switching here, bomb, boom. Somebody coming from behind you, boom, 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 boom. Several attackers, boom, boom, boom. Sharp end of the umbrella, boom, boom, boom. So you can actually get a sense of the martial functioning of the movement. Although this is more just the system, ideally, as you start to feel itself as more fluid. Now here, for example, we get a change. Okay, now I go here to here, but I can go this way. Boom, boom. Going that way, I go that. If I go this way, then I got swing to come back. This was called a skeet, an opening right here. Go this way. It's very different than this, that, and then that goes here. Then it goes out, boom, 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 boom. And just a little bit like, a basketball player, they call it a handle. Boom, 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 boom. Something I posted on YouTube, actually I posted on Facebook from YouTube, it's a Chinese boy. And he only has one arm, a left hand. And he got noticed by Stephen Curry, but he's doing with one hand what most people can't do with two good hands. And I posted it on Facebook with the caption, Masaka Agatsu Katsu Hayaki. That is O-sensei's thing, true winning is victory over the I, over yourself. And then Katsu Hayabi, no time, no space. In his particular case, no limitation. Only have one arm. All right? But I can, he is doing some stuff that's just wild. Okay, so, within this, we probably wouldn't want to try to do this with one arm. But see, the actual movement of the energy would allow you to. You get really good at making these changes, right? Catching, boom, 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 thrusting, cutting, boom, 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 boom. Using the body, boom, boom, cutting, cutting, boom, 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 boom. Okay, so we have a way of kind of looking at things that flexible, free-flowing. So since he talks about flexible, free-flowing, but I'm a little too drifty to do that. But then I get into the actual movements, locking. Somewhere in between, there's that sense. These changes, and there's also just a fairly concrete boom, 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 boom. So as you continue with these changes, like for me, my body feels lighter, freer. At the same time, there's kind of a very flexible feeling of movement. Even though the movements, we're highlighting the adaptability of them, it can be focused in. A sense of one-pointed focus can be there, where there's this whole boom, 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 boom. So there's a lot of training that you can begin to do with the staff. Okay? Somebody comes to grab your shoulder, boom, 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 boom. Category, Sankhyo, boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 Ikyo, boom, 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 Ikyo, category. She's a real interesting one because we think I'm going to go here, twist the wrist, and I'm going to put my weight down. Put the wrist on, the attacker's put in very vulnerable position. That's kind of the way it starts out. But ultimately, kote gaishi, kote is wrist, but gaishi is from the verb kayasu, gayasu, which is a reversal. We go this way, and we reverse go that way. We're going that way, you can reverse and go the other way. Here, we're going one way, so we go the other way. We're going that way, but we reverse, go back that way. So that state of freedom, not chaos, all right? Right? Or an eye level, for example, all of a sudden, more comes through, I may feel pushed and there's chaos. But that deeper level would be up. Oh, it's flow harmony. World right now is like this. And the collective eye is where it is, but as the eye opens up. Now, the world still has its issues, but we have a discernment possibility. We can maneuver. What our course in this world comes from a deeper, finer level of ourselves. Okay, we can do a little discussion, okay? And one thing that the Tai Chi does with the hand-eye movements is you relax those muscles. Okay, so we're here. Let's switch back to the big screen. And yeah, here we go. And I'm going to rehydrate. Okay. So one thing Sensei used to say, apparently, he said, don't look at the sword or you'll be cut. Don't look at your attacker. Okay, Hikitsuchi Sensei kind of made a form of it. All right, but you know they're basically very similar. In other words, you're not. I would just say that when you're dealing with them out there, you're kind of coming from the same place as the Tai Chi. You know, your vision is an inclusive vision. Sadhana Ro talks about Miyamoto Musashi, background, foreground. In other words, you know, there's minutiae here, and there's a larger picture. And you can be so focused, you know, if you're a general, right, you can be so focused on the battle that some assassin comes in. So you got everything out there, and then you have no sense of what's going on around you. Or conversely, you're still caught up in this. All right. Or in the current situation, we're caught up in this, and that seems very, very unsettled. Extremely important thing. And so just doing the Tai Chi gets you back to yourself, to your center. And, you know, the facial muscles say a lot about me. And so, you know, if we kind of get that easy but very focused place. In no sense, it's contentions. It can't just be an idea. You train the body to reach what he called the spirit. There's a mind there, but the mind tends to go back and forth with the eye and produces a particular thing. So as we go, you're training the body, whether it's Tai Chi or the Aikido movements. Right now, we're doing the changes with the staff work. But you'd be surprised, you know, you're going this way, you're going this way, you're going this way, and all of a sudden you're going that way with the staff. Or in Tai Chi, you're taking out 2 or 3 attackers. Okay, so, you know, in some sense, it's one thing. I had a discussion yesterday because Mido Sensei, you know, we had actually a very productive meeting. But, you know, one of the things that I seem to be able to do, which I always know, is just to go from this to that to that. Okay? And so, you know, that's confusing. I said, what actually confuses me is the people that can't go from this to that. And I start to go, oh. Because it's very natural for me to go from this to that, or that to that, or this to this. You know, or if I'm going to play, or I'm going to train with the staff, or I'm going to all of a sudden study a Stephen Curry move, or focus in on something so that how to go over. That's to me, that's the fun of it. You know, his contention to me was, what's your character? No, I don't like the word character. I like the word archetype. So when you say character, I go, but I say archetype. Okay? So I'm kind of a researcher. And, you know, I like this guy. He was kind of an archetypal researcher. Well, now I've researched for movement, or sound, or breath. And I have a capacity to follow changes or shift from this to that. I saw this video of a young Chinese boy with no right arm. And you could not tell from that video that he only had one arm driven with basketball. Yeah. He was doing all this stuff that people did with two hands with one arm. And, you know, my caption, when I put it on YouTube, was Masaka Agatsu Katsu Hayaku. Masaka, true victory. Agatsu, victory over self. Katsu Hayaku. It's translated as no time, no space. But you know, Katsu Hayaku also said train the body to reach the spirit. And to some degree, it's not a trophy. It's not a championship ring. It's an accomplishment. So that young kid with one arm, and he could do with one arm what a lot of other of us with two arms can't do. That's Katsu Hayaku. Katsu Hayaku. No limitation. Bruce Lee put it this way. No, everybody has a limitation. You have to bump into it. So he says, let's make our limitation, quote unquote, no limitation. But since I said the universe is in constant growth and transformation, we lock in at our eye level. So if the universe is in constant transformation, infinite transformation, since we come out of the universe, let's aspire to that. Not just as an idea. Now, this kid, is he ever going to play? I don't know. It would be really great if all of a sudden this kid grows up and he comes to America and plays in the NBA and he has one arm. I don't know if that'll happen. But, and it's not about reaching, okay, now I made this team or that team, because, you know, in high school I played, I wasn't after that good. I was MVP in 1 year, but it was like varsity is A. At the time it was B squad. Now it's just like JV. They don't do lightweight anymore. And C, and there was D. And so at C level, there was an MVP 1 year. Yeah, I mean that's something. But I was wound up so tight. I could do one thing, which is shoot. I couldn't handle. What was the defense? I don't know. And a lot of my inability there was just the fact that, you know, I grew up till about age 5, you know, just speaking Japanese with my grandfather. I had to learn English. My mind was on. And socially, a lot of my problems in basketball is a team game. What's the one thing you can work on by yourself? Is that. So, you know, I go to high school and I don't socialize well. So it's a team game. I do one thing better than anybody else. And the coach, I drove the coach crazy. So he would just, yeah. And then, you know, he'd say, okay, go in there. Every time you get the ball, shoot. I go in there and I make shots. And then he wouldn't play me again because I didn't understand team basketball. I didn't understand defense. What's defense? But that was that Zen moment, So, it was always kind of weird in that way. But, the Aikido has been good for me because, you develop a social dimension. But I'm also kind of very much, like for me, just, okay, give me a ball, and there's kind of that natural flow. And I could never describe it other than fun. So when all of a sudden Stephen Curry comes in, wow. If I had him as a role model, I would have developed this because you're become this number on. Then I would have had that. So then I would have picked up a lot of other stuff, as opposed to kind of, just one thing. So anyway, just anybody with a question or, Tai Chi related or any of the stuff we've been kind of going over. Anything? Oh, I've discussed this a little bit with David, but we might be ready to do something like on a Saturday morning. Not in the dojo, but outside, social distancing with masks, maybe even gloves. Just do some, some group training. Because there's a park just around the corner from the dojo. And obviously this being the beginnings of summer, we don't have to worry, about bad weather. But my thought would be maybe 45 minutes where you just do you can do the weapons changes. And 45 minutes to just do some Tai Chi. So that's something that we've discussed. So we'll discuss this a little bit more and put it out. If we do it outside, we'll still film it. We'll still shoot it, so to speak. I think what I have to do is, right now my iPad requires an internet connection. So you probably take the phone and you have somebody hold the phone and shoot it, because I can zoom on the phone. And obviously this has its own internet. So we'll figure out. So if we do the outdoor thing, we will still make it available online. And some thoughts is that at some point we will be opening to the public again in some form. So, certain things. Obviously, we have to start out with the social distancing. And masks, make things like hand sanitizers and wipes, disinfectant wipes, very available. Make sure the dojo is cleaned probably before and after every class, so it gets a little bit more exacting. And probably continue the online, because we'll only be able to fit a certain number of people in the school to observe the social distancing. So, those are thoughts. Thinking about calling my friend Linda Holiday Sensei, also mentioned it to Robert Nadeau Sensei, see what he has to say. Because eventually we are going to be doing this, but the online is good. I enjoy the online quite a bit. And obviously it's no substitute for certain other things that you get in group classes. So I think it's going to be important to continue to have an online presence, as things open up again, and to develop that. Okay? And I think I think San Jose State, all classes are going to be online in the fall. And so, you've got to figure out certain things that we can do online, which is going to be very difficult. But it'll be a challenge. I wish I'd done a lot more, okay, we go through this, or people, but it'd be difficult to really do certain one-on-one training drills now, given the restrictions that we all face, right? It would just be very difficult. So, if we kind of put masks on and wear gloves, we kind of look like outer space aliens or vigilantes. Okay. I ordered a Spider-Man mask online. So I'm going to get a fancier, I really thought what I'd do is take my mask and put webs on it. So I looked online and they have a couple of really cool Spider-Man masks. So I'm going to get one of those. So that's all in the works. Anybody with a question or anything that we've covered? Anybody?
Just a statement about that, from my understanding,
Okay.
my wife, who is a medical doctor, the caveat being this is not her medical advice, that outside and inside are very different.
Yeah.
A lot safer outside than inside, because being inside for an hour and a half or an hour,
yeah,
if there is someone who is contagious, then everyone is much more likely to catch it, even if they're social indoors as opposed to outdoors.
Yeah, no, they'll be outdoors. In fact, I talked to Betsy Hill Sensei. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But she's been she has a pastor, and the dojo in Sebastopol, Kenshi Aikido, is on her property. And so they have her daughter did horseback riding, so they actually had a horse and everything there. And so it's a beautiful area. And so they've been doing some weapons work outside. So yeah, the outside changes things. Still got to do the masks and maybe gloves as well, at least for me. So
certainly masks, yes. Where's the park by the dojo?
Well, there's a park. If you go down, okay, let's just say you're at the intersection of Martha and South Fifth Street. Now you go south one block to a street called Bestor, Bestor, and you look to your right, in the corner of that, there's a kind of a garden, and just past that, you'll notice, like benches, and there's even a basketball hoop, which in the past, I kind of used. I haven't done any basketball and ever since all this started. So, but that's it. It's quite a little long, and so I think we can meet outside, and we'll do something about having a platform for having shooting outside with probably my Zoom camera through the phone. So we'll continue to post the classes online. I think that's going to be important. They have an online profile. This is one thing we're getting, David.
When you sent me a text, and I asked you if you meant to do it this Saturday or next Saturday.
Oh, right, yeah. No, I think this Saturday's a little too quick. So this Saturday's the 6th. So why not do it on the 13th for good luck?
Okay. And just so you know, if we decide to do that, then I can put it together an email with the a map link to a Google map or something like that, so that everybody knows where it is. Sure. And you can let us know what time.
I think the thing to do just off the top right now is an hour where we do Aikido exercises, social distancing. And then we do a half hour of Tai Chi. So there'll be a couple of you there that gone through the 30 movement form. We'll spend 20 minutes taking people through the first couple of movements, and then we'll do a couple of sets of the full 30, so people can watch, or you can get pointers. In fact, I think that's what we'll do. At some point, we'll kind of start going through, the first lessons again, but at the end, we'll go through the full set. So you get a chance to do that. That's how we learned the stuff from Master Choi. I just kept going back and repeating the beginning courses. Why? Well, I was in grad school and everything was so crazy. And when I was around Master Choi, everything made sense. He was somebody that, because all these professors and all the stuff you got to do to get a degree in grad school, man, that was like, awful. And so, you know, every chance I had to get around Master Choi, I did. And then at some point, with the help of somebody else, we set up some courses for him at UC Davis. And so I would do that, you know, do those classes after a while. And then when I graduated, moved back to Santa Cruz before my trip to Japan in 1973, we set up a course for him at UC Santa Cruz. After a while, he stopped charging me because I was setting his courses up for helping to, right? And so, in fact, my first Tai Chi class was, I think it was winter of 1974. And what happened is he got tired of doing all that travel, taking the bus from San Francisco to UC Davis or San Francisco to Santa Cruz. In fact, what I used to try to do when I was at Davis was just to drive him back to San Francisco in my car, just because I could hang out with him. You know, there was a certain sort of sense where if you hang around somebody and you kind of absorb their vibe, so to speak, that's how you get certain things that you don't get just in instruction, because you actually establish a connection. Now, Sensei says something very interesting here. He says that, you know, at a certain point, that I have no more teachers. You know, probably he would say Takeda, the Daito Ryu, was his teacher, and that Deguchi Sensei from Omoto was his teacher. He says, now my teacher is the universe. I learn from the universe. So how to learn from the universe? Well, finding the universe as a vibration wave, attuning his vibration wave to where it could communicate, where he could talk and it would talk back, or just hang out there. In fact, that's what a lot of the book is about. It's just, okay, how do you hang out with the universe and therefore become one with it? Well, at some point, it goes through your sense of self. And there's stuff that you can do, you know, like Sensei, in certain meditative, spiritual practice, chant it, but he also trained the body and understood a little bit about the dimensional sense of the body. And as the body, my sense, as it gets to a certain dimensional level, then a lot of what he's talking about, the conversation with the universe and the universe conversing back, is kind of that floating bridge, right? Mary Heine Sensei, you know, we had this conversation, she was talking to Hikizuchi Sensei, and her conclusion was, standing on the floating bridge of heaven is not literally standing on a bridge. But if there's a dialogue going on, you talk, the universe answers. You answered what the universe says. Then, in a lot of ways, self, that position of us, that allows that pre-communication. We are all children of the universe. If we talk, see, if we're too intellectual, we're talking to ourselves. And likewise, if we're too thick and heavy, whatever communications there is going to bounce off of us. We won't let it in. Probably it runs both ways. The universe is probably always trying to get our attention so that we wake up to who we are, so the conversation starts. And so when those sensei said, the universe is my teacher, I thought that was pretty cool. That doesn't mean you don't learn stuff. His physical movement, he learned a lot of it from Takeda. And a lot of his more spiritual beliefs, he at some point framed through the Omoto religion. But the way he put it, I'm religious, but I don't teach religion. What I teach is spiritual science. And so his use of metaphor oftentimes, came out of the Japanese Shinto and was slanted through the Omoto Kyo Church of Deguchi, Unisaburo. But he felt he had found something that was science at the level of the spirit, and therefore not religion. And the way he put it, I am religious, but I am not teaching religion. And that's difficult to do because he uses so much imagery from the Shinto myths that you're going, oh. But he's, the way that he puts it, you have to find your own. And so, just using his metaphors may not work for us to get that communication going. And so at that level, right, it's like he's a great role model because he achieved something that was like off the charts. But on the other hand, trying to copy him, it's a good, okay, so a certain amount of training. Enough to realize that both mind and body are dimensional and not getting caught up in the I level of things. Okay? And then he seemed to like the idea that train the spirit or soul or true self through the body. Of course, there's mind, but I tends to lock in with mind, either get ahead of itself or with the body. If you understand it's dimensional, then really the mind and the body, they house us. We're children of the universe. So the universe is sort of our teacher, is kind of like our parents. And so as we get to that place, it's not being a child, but it's kind of that original clarity, purity inside us. Then the dialogue can start. Yeah, I'll call you back in about 5 minutes, okay? Yeah. No sensei, so I'm gonna have to leave fairly quickly. Anyway, any questions before we go? Okay. Just a second. Yeah, hi, I'm sort of in a class right now, but you are now on Zoom TV. Bonnie White says hi. David Eve says hi. So hello, are you there? Huh? Well, whatever reason, my number rang up again. So I'm gonna end the class. Thank you all. Okay.
Thank you, Sensei. Thank you, David. Bye, Bonnie.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you.